Sis and tell. A whole lot of talk about a whole lot of nothing. Amanda does stand up. Alison's on TV. And when they hop on the phone, it's the place you want to be. Sis and tell. A whole lot of talk about a whole lot of nothing.
Hey, Allie.
Hey, man. What's going on?
So, Ruby has a very specific style of dressing, right? And the other day...
So how would you categorize for our listeners her style of dress? I would say it's more like sort of like a rad skateboard chic.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Okay.
But she's wearing like crop tops and hoodies over that with like oversized jeans, right? Like they call them dad jeans. So she wears mom jeans, she wears dad jeans, but you get the picture. They're they're big. But so the other day she came downstairs and she goes, "I need a shoelace." And I was like, "Did a shoelace break in one of your shoes?" And she's like, I just need a shoelace.
Is someone giving birth in your closet and you need to tie off the umbilical cord? Like,
and I was like, "You have old shoes in your closet, go get a shoelace." And she comes downstairs and she's wearing the shoelace as a belt.
I knew you were going to say that. That is crazy.
And I was like, "Oh my God, I can buy you a belt. Please don't go."
Or at least get you a nicer set of shoelaces to wear as your belt.
I'm like, "I'll get you pants that fit you. Like, why are you wearing a shoelace?" I'm like, next thing you know, she's going to be having like a stick with a sack hanging off of it.
She's going to be the modern day Huck Finn.
So I was like, "What?" She goes, "No, Mom, it's the style." I go, "No, it's not. No one's wearing shoelaces."
Nobody is wearing shoelaces as a belt.
Right. So then,
by the way, Mommy is listening to this right now and dying that this was even an option.
So fast forward, I am at our friend's 50th birthday party, and her neighbor's daughter is there, and who is 15, and she turns around and she's wearing a shoe. I see a shoelace in the back that she's wearing just on the back two loops. And she like tied a bow with it to tighten her pants instead of it being all the way around.
Oh, I gotcha.
The back of it. And I was like,
it was a hack to cinch the jeans.
Right. Yes.
That's smart.
And then I see my friend's daughter, who is one of Ruby's friends, who's 12, and she is wearing a shoelace entirely around her waist. And I was like, "What is happening?" And I said to the 15-year-old's mom, I go, "I thought my daughter had created this." And she goes, "I thought my daughter had created it."
Okay, that is hysterical. So it is a thing? That's
It's
a
a thing.
weird thing. That's a
Right?
weird thing.
But here's the thing
About the thing. Yeah.
someone created this thing. There's someone out there. It's probably some like TikTok social influencer who's like, "Life hack. I know we all have shoes we've outgrown, or your parents' shoes. So take the shoelace and use it to cinch your jeans." And meanwhile, all these parents out there are like, "What the hell? Why is my shoe missing a shoe?"
Right. I think it was probably less strategic than that. I imagine that somebody really like their pants were falling down and they just figured out, okay, I don't have a belt, but I can do without this shoelace for now, and just did it. And that started something.
Look, it's like in the 80s, we took scrunchies and we tied them on the corner of
the
shirts.
shirt. That was stupid too.
Someone probably did that because they thought their shirt was too big and they wanted to show off.
Of course it was. But then we were all wearing shirts with side ponytails. Like, literally.
Side ponies.
A side pony, let's be clear, doesn't look good on a person's head or their waist.
Shirt.
Yeah, side ponies have no place in this world.
We were doing it not because it was tightening the shirt, but because that's what you did, just like pegging the legs of jeans. Like the next thing we know, like we ran
pegging the legs.
You don't know how to peg jeans? You didn't do that?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay. So I feel I can't even peg the leg of these jeans.
Like sadly, I'm picturing a pirate right now because all I know is a peg leg was like the look of a pirate who lost his leg, which is not PC. Wait, what are you doing? So you're taking, nobody can see you. You're taking your jean
right? So there's no room in these jeans because they're skinny, but you take
Okay.
the end of them and you kind of fold it over just like that. And then you would like you take a corner of the end,
Okay.
you fold it so that it's tighter at the bottom, and then you roll that twice
Oh,
so that it's stuck.
I've never
uh,
seen that done. That was
and it
brilliant.
and it basically turned a regular
It
leg,
turned like a flared or a straight leg jean into something more cropped
no, into
and
something more
tighter
cropped and tighter.
and tighter. Okay, no, we never pegged jeans. That was not part
That
of
must
my generation.
that was my
I've
we
never
were
even
the
heard
same.
that word
The
as
lower
relation.
half of our generation did it.
That
What
is
do we
really
what do we
funny.
call it? The younger half of what am I? Gen X?
I don't know. I think we're different gens.
No, we're not. We're literally not. But you
Oh,
can call me a Zennial because we're half Gen X, half millennial.
what am I? An
You're
Xer? I'm just a pure
just a Gen
Xer.
X.
Okay, I'll take it. I can't remember all these new names anyway. Yeah, my generation, we were into the splatter paint, the splatter painted sweatshirts and t-shirts. We were into neon. Even back then I wore all black basically. So when I incorporated the neon into my look, I
Yeah.
basically looked like a fixture at a disco. So I'd be walking, like I remember walking to the soccer field at a high school game, and I'm in all black with like hot pink or hot, yellow neon sticking out. And literally, I think the entire soccer team had to stop and like cover its eyes because I was blinding them. But, it was a good look back then. Oh, so I have some exciting news. On the way back from taking my car for service in Atlanta and seeing you, I stopped at Buc-ee's.
I am dying to go. We should have just like met at Buc-ee's. I
I
should have
know. Well,
we
to
still
be
have to do that.
fair, on the way down, I totally missed the exit. It didn't even. I was probably so engrossed in the podcast I was listening to that I totally just even forgot it was between me and you. And then I think you might have said something, or someone said, "Did you stop at Buc-ee's?" Maybe Levi did. I said, "No, I totally forgot." So I didn't know if I wanted to go and I wanted to get home, but then again, my
You
curiosity
had to
was
get
so piqued. Yeah, we'd been
I was
talking
about
about
to
it.
say, I was about to say, well, at some point you had to get gas, but you drive an
And
electric
I drive an
car.
electric car, so I don't have that. I didn't have that excuse. But here's what I'll say about Buc-ee's. Have you been to a Buc-ee's?
No, I haven't been to a
Okay.
Buc-ee's. We
I
talked
know,
about
but I can't
Buc-ee's.
remember if you
It's
had been
like
since then. I guess
it's
not.
like 500,000 square feet of convenience store.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, 50,000 square feet and 120 gas pumps. So,
Does it have a section dedicated just to corn nuts?
no. Well, I don't think so. There is a section and a whole deli counter dedicated to beef jerky. I will tell you that. There's a
Oh,
lot of jerky and
yeah.
a lot of barbecue. There's a center part where they're literally just making like hundreds of barbecue sandwiches and then putting them up so that you take them. It's sort of like when you go through a cafeteria and all the food's
Yeah.
already there and you just grab it. That's how the barbecue's being made.
Did
And
they
they were frenetic.
did they have jerky made out of other things besides like beef and pork?
I don't know because I'm not a big jerky eater. And Levi wanted me to get him some jerky, but it was in the refrigerated part. It was an all beef jerky that needed to be refrigerated. So that was their original. But they had just a ton of jerky. I don't know if they had like bison jerky or things like that. I didn't delve in because here's what I realized. Buc-ee's has a lot of hype. And if you need to stop at a convenience store, like if you need to stop for gas and go to the bathroom, this is an awesome option because you will definitely find a gas station or you'll definitely find a gas pump. And the bathrooms are exceptionally clean and you get your own stall, which I really appreciate. So the bathrooms are awesome.
Like the
And
door is from ceiling to floor?
oh yeah, like it's
Oh,
it's an
I love
enclosed
that.
room, yeah, and good, and
Yeah.
it's spacious. So especially during COVID times, like everything that I will say, I was out of like the 200 people in the store, I might have been one of 5 people wearing a mask, but that's neither here nor there. So, and as for a convenience store, it really is like a C store on steroids. There's so many different snack options. I sent you a picture. There's a picture of like 12 different icy flavors, except it wasn't they had Dr. Pepper but not Coke. And I like a pure Coca-Cola icy. If I'm going to drink a Coke, which I really don't. I gave up soda like 8 years ago. but if I'm going to drink an icy, it's going to be a Coke icy. This was like, it said, it's like what Mimi used to call it, like pure cane cola.
I don't even remember that. She used to say that.
She used to say Coca-Cola. She used to say, do you want a Coca-Cola? Which I think maybe Coca-Cola was a brand of soda. But it reminded me of like, it was like the Mimi version of an icy because it was like pure cane cola icy. I'm like, well, that's not Coke.
I think she was buying the generic brand of Coca-Cola. That's probably why.
Well, this was a generic icy, so I didn't want any part of that. But otherwise, it felt like sort of the Ace Hardware gift department, which I love Ace Hardware, and I especially love their gift department. But it's like that sort of kitschy country section meets a little bit of Sportsman's Warehouse. Like it had some of those items.
Okay.
So
not
C-store.
Not a tourist destination, but if you need to go to a convenience store and go to the bathroom and get gas, go there.
Yeah, I think it was underwhelming as a tourist destination and very much meeting expectations for an awesome convenience store.
Okay.
So there you go. I'm not like buying Buc-ee's towels or shirts or things like that. Right. And if you're looking for stuff for Christmas, they had lots of Christmas stuff. So
like stocking stuff.
Which I'm always collecting Christmas stuff. So.
Right.
But I'm glad I did it. So I got that out of my system. I don't really need to go back. Yeah.
Thanks for taking one for the team. Now we won't spend time meeting there and asking them if we can record a podcast out of Buc-ee's.
No, we don't. No. This ends our Buc-ee tribute series.
Right. And we're done. So I told you that I did a comedy show Monday night.
Yes.
And during that time, I was listening to comedians and I started taking notes on future premises for jokes. And this is something that all comedians do, especially at an open mic.
So wait, so you're basically stealing material from your fellow comedians?
No.
Oh,
but
okay.
like, how someone tells a story and that reminds you of something?
Yes.
And it may not, it's
That's
usually
the whole gist of our podcast.
Right.
You tell a story, it reminds me of something. I get it.
So people were telling stories and it was reminding me of something. So I would write that down. But there are people who share the same premise, but it's not the same joke.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
There's a lot of people who work at a restaurant, drive for Uber, live in their parents' basement,
And they all happen to be struggling comedians. Yeah.
Right. Yes. We're all struggling comedians, I have to say. But yeah, so, there's people, look, my friend Amy and I, we both have very similar premises, but we have different lives and we have different takes on those situations. So it's all about your unique experience with a similar situation anyway. So there's so many things that I came up with.
It's about perspective fueling the story.
Mm-hmm, it is. It's what would an Alabama Jew think of this?
Right.
So, there's like a guy talking about growing up as a Southern Baptist, and I started thinking of all these things. And right, like I'm not a Southern Baptist. I don't even have Southern Baptist stories unless you want to talk about all those people who said they would pray for me.
They're still saying it, by the way.
They're still saying it. Please don't pray for me. Oh, I can't stand it. Don't pray for me unless I ask for prayers. But anyways, there's this one story that I thought of. I'm not even going to tell you how I got there, that I was like, I do not know if I told this on the podcast because it's pretty incredible. But I started to think about it when you're saying you got a tour of Buc-ee's. It reminded me that I have this as a joke I'm trying to work out, which is I got a tour one time of a funeral home.
Oh, gosh. I thought you were going to say the Golden Flake Factory, which is sort of a rite of passage for everybody who grows up in Birmingham.
We did.
Funeral home.
Yeah. So mark this as like very strange field trips to go on with an elementary school.
This was from the day school? The Jewish day school took you to a funeral home?
They did. They took us to a funeral home. I think it was in 7th grade. We were learning about Jewish burial. Right. And all the traditions around that, because there's so many.
There are. And let me just say, Jewish rituals around death are the best. And I know that sounds As it comes out of my mouth,
Out
it
of all
sounds.
the rituals, out of all the religions, I'm just saying
I'm
the
just-
Jewish ones are the best.
I
How
know, it
many
sounds
people get to
morbid.
eat white fish when their husband dies? I'm just saying.
Yeah. And by the way, I have a notes section. In my notes section on my phone is a list of my menu items that I want at my Shiva. That said, no,
Wear lipstick. You're not supposed to wear. You're not
no,
supposed to adorn yourself at funerals. It's supposed to be sad. But I'm like, I need to wear some lipstick
yeah.
when any of my relatives die.
No, I'm just saying, not compared to other religions, but
Right.
of all the rituals within Judaism, I always say that the ones around death and burial and mourning are incredible because they really give you a template and something to follow when I imagine you are most lost in your life.
Yes.
Like you feel like you have no focus, and this gives you literally a cadence and rules and a structure. And I
Yes.
think, and it's a beautiful,
Those
and
are
also
fun.
beautiful things that have meaning. So sorry. So I
Yeah.
understand now you're putting it into that context. That makes sense.
So we got a tour of, I want to call, I might be saying the name wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's called Johnny Rideout's Funeral Home. And it sounds
That
like,
totally sounds right. I feel like I
right?
recognize that. Yeah.
But it's like, it could
Definitely
be,
Ride Out. Ride Out sounds, but
and
no,
it could
it
be
sounds like
John.
a
It could
motorcycle
be,
group.
it
Yeah.
could just be John.
You're right. Is there tagline
It's like a
ride out,
barbecue
ride
shack.
out and never ride back in or
So they, and with showing, talking about like Jewish tradition, they also were like, there's also traditions for other religions, including Christianity or people who are non-religious. And the guy, I don't think our teacher was with us at this point, and there's only like 5 of us in the class.
right.
This is something they should have written home about. So they took us.
I think they needed parental permission for this field trip.
I don't think you had to do permission slips back then. But so he took us into the crematorium. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
He took us into the crematorium. He he opened up the little door to show us where they put people who are utilizing that machinery.
Okay, so dead people. They're not putting people who are alive. Let's just
No,
say
yeah,
bodies,
putting in
corpses.
bodies.
Okay.
He opens it up and he goes, "Oops, there's someone in there."
No, he did not. That
And
wasn't a
of course,
funeral home joke, was it?
oh,
'Cause that's
and
a
of course,
horrible joke, if
and
it
of
is.
course, I like to be up front for everything. Right? I'm like, I've always sat in the front row. Sometimes it's because I can't see the chalkboard. And I know someone was in there because I saw someone in
No, you
there.
did not.
Yes, I did. And it was, I mean, look, I think they have to keep the flames on to keep it hot or something. But I mean, I saw like a silhouette in there. Like he literally opened up the door and goes, "Oops," and shut it. Right?
Oh my
Like,
gosh. So what did you do? I know you're very sensitive. Did you cry? Did you
no.
scream? Did you just
I
get
was,
just
no.
stunned into silence?
Like, that was crazy. I don't think I told teachers. I don't think I told mommy and daddy. I'm pretty sure I didn't.
Have
I
you
just
held this
saved it.
story in for the past like 40 years?
No, I've told this story before to people. It just doesn't, it's not one of those things that comes up a lot. Right?
That time. Let's all share our greatest crematorium stories. Amanda,
Right.
you go first.
And like, there's not a lot that like gets your brain going to get to that story. And so that is that is one of the things I'm like, how can I incorporate this into crazy things that happen when you go to a small Jewish day school?
Right, right. Well, there's definitely, I think you could do a whole shtick on Jewish rituals because they're, when you start, I find them comforting, but I'm sure to the outside world, some of it may feel, like covering the mirrors and,
Yeah.
all these things.
Well,
There's got to be some humor in there.
just explaining to someone, and this has nothing to do with Jewish funerals unless someone brings this to the Shiva, but just explaining to a non-Jewish person what noodle kugel is scary in itself.
Right.
And there's people who know what kugel is who are listening, and other people are like, "What is that?" It is a sweet noodle casserole. It includes egg noodles, butter, sugar, sour cream, cottage cheese, eggs. You can add crushed cornflakes on top to add a crust, and then you put cinnamon and sugar on top. I put vanilla in mine, but it sounds disgusting, right? Like who's
It's
going to want to,
delicious.
but it's so good. Like sweet noodle kugel. Ooh, noodles should be savory, right? But no, this is like dessert and it doesn't make any sense, but it's so good.
It is so good. I don't know who developed it, but I love them. I
Yeah,
love
what
kugel.
is the history of noodle kugel? It's probably an Ashkenazic thing too, and not, I'm sure Sephardim, the Jews who originated in Spain, did not eat noodle kugel.
Yeah, I doubt it. Well, I had an interesting experience, and I thought of a new idea for either a movie or a reality show, and it's called Reunion Crashers. And we and you would be really good at this because you are good spontaneously on your feet and you love like to kind of make pretend and you can insert yourself in a situation where you are credible even if you don't belong there. And that was what I was trying to do because I went to Alan's 30th college reunion. And let's be clear, I've been to a lot of his high school reunions because they're in Chattanooga. And we hang out with a lot of the guys who he went to high school with. So it's not like I'm going to a reunion and I have to meet people. I probably have gone to 5 of his reunions over the past 30, well, he's had a 35th last time, but over the past 25 years. So I know the guys he graduated with. He went to, Macaulay and all boys school. I know their partners or their wives and their kids. So there's a whole community and family, and I really love them. Now, he's never been to his college reunion. I go to mine all the time. I went to Brandeis, and we have our tight-knit group of women that I was best friends with, but also other women that we're still close with, and also men that we were friends with. And we had a really diverse group. So we go at least every 5, if not 10 years. So I've been to a couple, and he has never come, and to be clear, he has never been invited. It's my time, right? But we were going up to Northwestern because we have a child there, and it made sense for me to go and see so we could see Arthur. And also I went to the reunion stuff because one of his best friends was going to be there, who's now one of my best friends, and they've combined reunions because of COVID. All of this to say, I don't know why
But you also went there for
to a
graduate
reunion.
school.
I did, but this was, first of all, my graduate school program was 23 people.
Yeah.
And I didn't get out, and this was not my reunion year. Even if it was, I doubt any of my graduate school people would have shown up. And I don't keep in touch with any of them, sadly. But after a while, like the funny thing is, so I had a name tag, but it says my graduate school graduation year, but nobody's reading that part. They're just seeing my name, Alison. So people are coming up to me and going, "Hey, so good to see you. You look so familiar. Did we live in the same dorm? And so finally, and I kept saying, no, I'm married to Alan. He graduated. Oh, no, I'm married. Finally, like some of the women I connected with said, you need to just stop like telling them you're not part of our class and make stuff up. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, somebody's like, oh my gosh, weren't we in sorority together? I go, no, I was in Di Kappa Alpha. I was in...
That's not even a Greek letter.
I know. We didn't have fraternities or
Di
sororities
Kappa
really
Alpha.
at Brandeis, so I don't know much.
Beta,
of the grade
beta,
systems.
delta.
Right. We were in Delta, Delta, Delta. So I'm like making stuff. I'm like, yeah, no, I lived in this store. No, yes, no, you don't know me. Finally. It just got to the point. But it could have been fun if I had embraced it with that. But it was just kind of awkward. I do not recommend people going with their spouses to their school reunions, even high school. I've been to my high school reunions. Alan's been to one, but otherwise doesn't come because he doesn't care about all that nostalgia. And it is a nostalgic time. I had fun, but it was like after the first event, I'm like, I think I'm done. Like,
God, multiple events.
Well, the first night, and it was outside at this outside venue, and then I said, what are we doing tomorrow night? He goes, oh, we're going to this other venue. I'm like, with the same people? Because I don't have anything more to say. I've really exhausted all of
chit-chatting. Yeah.
I've done all my chatting. I don't want to, I'm not having deep conversations. I did connect with there were 2 or 3 women though that I really loved. And I said, I'm going to come back for a reunion just for you. We'll have our own reunion.
How much were you hoping that someone famous would be there? Because Ross, what's his name, went to Northwestern.
Oh, his name's not Ross. David Schwimmer.
Yeah, I know his name's not Ross, but I couldn't remember his real name.
Right,
David Schwimmer went to how much were you hoping
Yeah.
that you would show up and someone's married to a celebrity or David Schwimmer's there? Did that even cross your
That
mind?
didn't even cross my mind. There's a guy in Alan's class named Dave Revson who is sort of famous. Like he was an announcer on ESPN and now he's on the Big Ten network. So we met him. I don't watch Big Ten network, so I didn't
Right.
really
Or
recognize him.
sports news? Yeah.
Yeah, so he's like sports famous and he was a nice guy, but that was as close as I got to famous famous.
Yeah.
I didn't think about anybody being famous there until you just said it, but that would have been fun.
Oh, well, I mean, look, because I was just thought of that because when you dropped off Arthur for orientation, what's his name? Steve Carell was there.
Yeah, I've told that story though.
Yeah, I know you've told that story, but that just reminded me that cool things can happen.
Yeah, his daughter was a freshman the same time as Arthur, and Alan sat next to him, and I didn't even notice he was sitting
Yeah, I
there.
know. That's crazy.
It's a terrible, horrible, awesome story, all in one small package.
I mean, you would have probably
I know I was
embarrassed the
this
heck
close
out
to
of him.
becoming best friends with Steve Carell. That's how I tell the story. But Alan blocked me. He totally blocked me from my dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. So reunion crashers. I can see this being the next like Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson, movie.
Yeah. I don't know if it's that. I keep on thinking of Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion. No one really wants to go to their reunion.
Right.
So the idea of crashing someone else's sounds awful.
Well, the funniest line someone had is they said, "Oh, everybody who came back looks pretty good," and someone said, "That's because the people who don't look good are not
Don't
coming
come
back.
back." Yeah.
We're not seeing them." But
Right.
so it was fun. I think everybody kind of looks the same, right? At a certain age, you're like, you all look familiar to me. You all kind of look like people maybe I hung out with or didn't hang out with.
I'm so bad at names that I'm like, your face looks familiar, but I think I can't go to reunions because I don't know people. It's also like with high school, I was only in that public school system for 3 years, whereas all
Right.
those other people, they've known each other since elementary school.
Right.
So my friends are always talking about people. I'm like, who's that again? Who is that person?
I don't know them.
Like,
Well,
I'd
the good
rather
thing about reunions
yeah.
is you're wearing name tags. I really think, you know how I feel about name tags. They should be state mandated.
Yeah.
You should have to wear name tags all the time.
But it should be on your forehead so that it's not so obvious you're looking down.
Well, and luckily most things were outside, so we were not masked. But Alan's biggest fear was that people would be masked, and he wouldn't recognize them without a mask. But at least when you have a mask on, you have an excuse to say, "Oh, sorry, who are you? I don't recognize you." Without a mask, you just have to admit, I have no idea who you are.
Yeah, I don't recognize people anyway, but it's awful. It's awful. But you said people kept on saying you look familiar. Do you get that a lot?
I got that. It's so funny. Yes, I get that a lot. I know you get it because people
But
think that
even
you're a
before,
famous person. But
but
I think we
even
just have
before,
that face, maybe.
yes, even before that, I think I just had that face that
Yeah.
we look familiar. It's good. That's a good thing, though. That means that's why people I feel are instantly comfortable around us.
Yeah. Well, the reunion did make me think though, if you want, if I know people are always wondering about, good ways to parent their children and sort of this idea of restorative justice. Like, does the punishment fit the crime? And how do you take away
Logical consequences.
Yes. Do you take away technology? I've got a great torturous punishment for a kid. If you really want to torture a kid, because I was thinking I did not mean to torture our kids this way, but speaking of going to a reunion and not knowing anybody, take your kids to one of your friends' kids' bar or bat mitzvahs, and they will be in hell. I can tell you, our kids, they're especially growing up in Chattanooga where there's only a few Jewish kids. And then I would drag them to other parts. And if we were at a small dinner and they got to know the kids, they loved it. And it was really exciting. But then came the Saturday night activities, and it would be them and 200 kids they've never met before. And they're 12 years old or 11 years old. And they're getting locked in a room and they're coming out every 2 minutes. They're making us play games. They're making us sit on people's lap. They're making us do, all these tortures. I'm sorry, go have fun. I'm enjoying life.
So that might be torture for your kids, but for my kids, it's a little bit of torture for me because all of a sudden my child's on stage giving
Right.
a speech.
Maybe Mazel tov to Henry.
Right. Yeah. Like what, like, and this was like our cousins, but at Stacy's youngest bar mitzvah, like Mike Noah, like my kids didn't even know him, right? They don't really know that cousin. But there they were. Murray was like the same age. He's like a year younger, and he got up on stage and started giving a speech. And then Oscar's like, I would like to give a speech. And then Ruby's like, time for me to show them my dance, which involves a shoelace somehow. I don't know.
That was a great callback.
Well, thanks for listening to the latest episode of Sis and Tell podcast. Share us with your friends, share us with your family, share us with your foes.
As always, this has been Amanda and Alison with a whole lot of talk about a whole lot of nothing. We'll catch you next time.
Sis and Tell.